So we're down in the assembly area for the TCR UK next round. It's getting hot in here. Actually, the drivers are all getting their helmets on, they're all getting their hands devices on, all the safety equipment. Let's go and grab a word with a few of them that I can find. And this is a good place to start. Here he is. Hello, Al. How are you doing, mate? You doing okay? You are live. Not a bad place to start.
No, not at all, especially for my second race in TCR. So.
I was just going to say, your second ever race in TCR, that's exactly what you want, isn't it, mate? Straight to be on the front. I can't believe, and it's live as well, and I'm so sorry, I've just proper stumped you there, haven't I? Car's looking good, team are good.
Team's good, yeah.
Happy enough, mate?
Very happy, especially, yeah, considering pole's the best place to be, so.
So, how fast can we expect you to be, mate?
I'll try my best.
That's the way to go, mate. I'll try my best. I think he might win today. But a podium would be good, or are we going to win?
Podium, but I'll try and get the win, so.
Top man, you better not let me down. He's too nice, him, isn't he? Come back to you later on. Good lad. Have a good one, guys. So we've spoken to Bradley Kent before. I did see Jamie Tonks. Jamie's in the car. If you want to just come round with me. So Jamie he did start in a DSG, which is a different gearbox than a TCR Cupra. Jamie is just getting in his car. Let's let him get him the belts on us. So if you crack on, mate. We'll have a chat to you while you're getting involved. Jay, change your car. Don't you worry, mate. You just keep belting yourself in. Change your car from what you originally started in. Cracking cars, full stop. But it's nice to have a proper gearbox.
Yeah, very much so. I was the only one on the grid in the DSG car, so we went out of Alton Park and started doing a bit of shopping round and found this and rolled it off the trailer at Donington and raced it, and it seemed a bit better than what I was in, so I'm quite happy.
Can you just tell us quickly, I'll let you get belted in, but what is the difference between a DSG and a normal sequential gearbox for everyone watching at home?
There's a lot of fundamentally identical stuff. It's just in the transmission. So you've got a racing gearbox versus a modified road gearbox. Ultimately, it translates to a faster car, be it accelerating and braking.
Yeah. And you can actually mess around with a bit of different maps and ABS and things like that. But it's not in this championship. You've got to be careful what you're actually messing with, aren't you?
Yes, mate. Yeah, very much so. We're under strict regulations and we stick to them and. Fight as hard as we can.
Good luck. I'll let you crack on. You've got like one belt on. Make sure you belted in properly. We don't want anyone driving around with nothing going on. Oh, here's one of my favourites, Jack Depper. Looks like he's ready to have a fight. How are you, Jack? Are you going well? You're live, mate. Are you well?
I'm not too shabby, not too shabby. Obviously not that happy starting back in P19, but we're going to make the most of it. We're going to have fun. That's what it's about, isn't it?
You were getting fully involved before, though. You were fully involved in a few good fights.
Yeah, I was, and then unfortunately, just human error. I locked up and sent myself into the barrier, but we recovered it. So yeah, we kept on fighting. But what can you do? Just one of them things, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Listen, you crack on. I think you're getting cold, mate. So yeah. I'll let you crack on. Well done and good luck. There's a familiar face. How are you, lad? You all right? Leon Pegg there, just wandering around. Don't know what he does these days, but follow me. Let's speak, actually, just quickly. Abby Eaton. I know Jess is getting ready. Do you want to say hi and bye to Jessica, your partner?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, bye, done. I'd rather speak to Paul O'Neill. Yeah. Abby Eaton, you've already eaten. How's Jess feeling?
Yeah, she's feeling all right. I think she did well in the previous race, got up to kind of 11th, and yeah, I think starting middle of the grid and moving forward this race, but tough, especially around here, to go from the back up to where she wants to be.
Yeah. People forget how difficult it is to overtake here, don't they? It's like you've known from racing yourself around Brands Hatch. You really have to it's so close. You have to get an undercut, but you can tap someone by accident, can't you?
Yeah, and everyone is so close as well. Like the times were like within like a couple of tenths of each other every lap. And if you go for kind of half a lunge, it doesn't quite pay off. Then actually you've got to make that up. Every single lap, a couple of tenths each lap. So you've got to kind of play the long game and wait it out till you know that you can put a move on someone.
What I love about you is that we know each other really well, as well as I know Jess as well, but it's always professional when we're on camera, because if people seen what we were really like, it'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
I know, yeah. That's our secret, Paul.
We'll keep it at that. Good luck, Jess. Good luck, Abby. Spot on. Follow me. Right, let's go and speak with an absolute legend, actually, of touring cars and tin tops, in my opinion. He's just given his son, Callum, a little pep talk. Dave Newsham, I know you don't like the limelight. This is about Callum, but quick word from you, mate. He's been a bit of a star, hasn't he?
He's had a mega weekend. What he did in wet yesterday, well, I'd have been proud of that myself.
Me too, mate. We've raced together.
So he was just mega. And it's the first time we've ever put wets on this car. I'd never driven it in the wet before. So, bit of an unfortunate first lap incident, put him back to 15th, but he came back to 6th. You know, he's just doing mega this weekend. Brilliant.
Proper, isn't it? What are you thinking about TCR as a person running it for your son and being involved in the team? It seems to be going places, mate. It's a big grid. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, and the cars are just brilliant. I mean, this is an old car, but it's so reliable. I'm not used to that coming from the Minis. It's so reliable. It's great to drive. He loves driving it, and it's very competitive as well. So it's exactly what he needs.
Spot on. Quick one, Callum. Your dad being very nice about you there, mate. Are you looking forward to this? What can you do? Can you win it?
I'm going to give it my best. I reckon I've got the speed, so we'll see what happens.
Good man. Well, I can hear you're having to start your engines up at the minute. Everyone's getting the shout, so I'll shut your door, mate. I'll let you crack on. But I think that's everybody going, so we're going to hand back over to Andrew. It's going to be a cracker.
That it is, Paul. Thank you very much. Great to catch up with the drivers. It's always one of my favourite parts of a race weekend, having a wander around the assembly area as the drivers are getting strapped in, getting ready to go racing. The atmosphere down there is always electric, and Paul able to sample that before he hot-foots it up here to the commentary box. This is then our third and final TCR UK race of the weekend. It's round number 7 of the championship, and we're back now to a more traditional grid. So we had our reversed grid race earlier on today, and now we're back to a grid that is based upon qualifying times from yesterday. It's the second fastest time for each driver which has set this grid. So Bradley Kent, who actually has found himself on pole position for both of the races up to this point, now has to start from second because his second fastest lap in qualifying wasn't quite as quick as Alex Lee, who we just heard from with Paul down there. Alex Lee will have the pole position. He is the youngest ever pole sitter in TCR UK in a qualifying session based grid. Scott Sumpton actually was on pole position for the reverse grid race last time at Donington Park. He's also someone in his late teens, but from a qualifying session, Alex Lee, the youngest driver to snatch a pole position, and it's got to be probably the youngest ever front row that we've had in TCR UK, because Bradley Kent is only 20 and he is in his second season of racing in TCR UK. Is Bradley Kent, the local driver, the Essex and Kent Motorsport squad, running those 3 Hyundais in the championship, and Brad, former runner-up in the VW Racing Cup. He's had 3 race wins now in TCR UK, and looking for another one here today. The crowd here at Brands Hatch has been absolutely immense. This is the best atmosphere that I've seen at one of these TCR meetings in the 4 and a bit years that I've been covering it now, and the amount of people here is something, but a lot of them may be getting their first taste of TCR action trackside, and I think they've really been enjoying the racing. Hopefully this third race is going to be a real show for them as well. The weather as well has helped matters, no doubt about it. We had actually a few sprinkles of rain when I was walking up to the commentary box, but now I look above me and it's clear blue sky, so fingers crossed that's the worst of the precipitation that we have to deal with. Now, a couple of bits of news after the earlier race today, the reverse grid second race of the weekend, and there were a few post-race penalties actually, a couple for track limits. So the 2 drivers who were given penalties for track limits were number 21 Jessica Hawkins, who drops out of the top 10 as a result of a 5-second track limits penalty, and then number 27 Scott Sumpton, who I just mentioned, Mr. Pickles as he's known. He had a 10-second track limits penalty. There was also a driving standards penalty given out to Max Hart, the championship leader. Now, Max had a bit of contact with Bradley Kent down the Cooper Straight midway through that race, and it damaged Brad's car, and Brad said that's what led to a puncture, basically, the bodywork rubbing on the tyre, and that's why he fell out of the race lead and had to come into the pit lane for a new tyre. So that has been looked at by the stewards. It's been decided that Max was at fault, so he's been given 2 points on his licence. Now, at the moment, that doesn't look like it's actually going to take any championship points away from him. If he got any more points on his licence, then they do start to take points off your championship total. But for now, Max is okay, so he remains the championship leader coming into this race. In fact, on updated points, he is now 14 points ahead of Isaac Smith in the number 123 VW Golf. Then it's Lewis Kent, third in the championship on 164, a further 10 points back. Then 151 points for Chris Smiley and 107 for our race winner in that second race, Jack Constable. And the pace that he had in that one wouldn't bet against him getting back onto the podium in this race. He'll have to start a little bit further back. 12th on the grid is Jack, but the Powermax Racing Cooper, which was victorious earlier on today, might just be a factor before the race is over. I mentioned before that we have these dropped scores to take into account as well, and one of the big changes changes in that regard is surrounding Chris Smiley, because Chris Smiley had a non-finish in the earlier race. It was his first non-finish of the season, although he did have a race at Donington where he only scored 3 points, and it means that he is now dropping significantly fewer points than anybody else. So on dropped scores, Max Hart is 11 points ahead of Chris Smiley, with Isaac Smith in third, but that's going to keep on chopping and changing with every round of the championship that goes by. So cars making their way out of the pit lane. This is to make their way onto the grid. They'll sit on the grid, they'll do their tyre swapping, and then we'll be able to send them out on that green flag lap ahead of another 25 minutes of racing. And this is an important race, the 7th round of the championship. After this race, there will be 8 races left, so we can call this the halfway point of the 2022 championship, I think. And Max Hart, who stole a march on everybody at Donington last time, now has his work cut out, actually, to manage this championship lead. Max, remember, will be starting 15th on the grid because his qualifying session yesterday was not all that good. He's had better race pace than that, but coming through from 15th isn't going to be easy. And Max Hart, therefore, will be very much aware of the fact that Lewis Kent is starting 3rd on the grid. Isaac Smith is inside the top 10 as well. Chris Smiley is 8th on the grid. There are drivers ahead of him who are very close to him in the championship, so Max won't want to lose that championship lead, which he's held ever since the end of the first weekend at Alton Park. Seeing Brad Hutchison's Audi on the screen. There is an error, I think, with not only the graphics on the TV package, but actually even on the grid sheets and results being printed by TSL Timing. It is Hutchison, not Hutchinson, but I think even in the programme that's a spelling mistake. Either way, Brad, who is very, very fast in that Audi, had his best finish of the season in race number 2 earlier on today, managing to get himself a 4th place finish. And that beat the 5th place that he got in the reverse grid race at Donington. Hutchison's going to be starting 6th on the grid for this one. So watch out for that blue Audi. It's a very good looking car, that. Brad, moving up with the challenge, has really acquitted himself well in TCR. So Alex Lee pulls up onto the pole position then, and just chatting to him and the team in the assembly area. He's up for this, he's up for the fight. He knows that if he gets a good start, he's got half a chance of a strong result here. He's got Bradley Kent alongside him. Row number 2 is the number 1 Hyundai Veloster of Lewis Kent, race winner yesterday, and Callum Newsham in the number 16 Cupra, which finished 3rd in yesterday's first race of the weekend. Then is Adam Shepherd. There's been some drama for number 117, Adam Shepherd, because he's had a drive shaft change in the break between races 2 and 3, and they only just got it in time. They had to actually get one off another team, and in fact it was Alex Lee's team who donated that, so huge thanks to them for helping get that other Hyundai on the grid. There is Hutchison in the Audi. He lines up 6th. Then it's number 123 Golf of Isaac Smith. Smith's had another really consistent weekend so far. 4th yesterday, 2nd in today's middle race of the 3. What can he do in race number 3? Chris Smiley then, number 22, lines up 8th on the grid in his Honda. Bit of a lowly qualifying effort that from Chris, actually. He's not been a star at the front of the field this weekend, and obviously that DNF in race 2 certainly didn't help matters. Jamie Tonks is 9th on the grid in his number 74 Cupra, with Bruce Winfield, number 37, alongside him. Then we've got the number 21 of Jessica Hawkins lining up 11th with 257 Jack Constable for company. A pair of Cupras there, the Fast R with Area Motorsport run car of Hawkins, and the Power Max Cooper of Jack Constable, who of course was our winner in race number 2. Darryl Wilson and Matthew Wilson, no relation, share the 7th row, number 50 and 31. Then it's 101 Max Hart, who lines up 8th, and 27 Scott Sumpton, with 11 Antwort Niels, race leader for much of the first part of that second race in the Subaru. He's 17th alongside Russell Joyce, who is a double Goodyear Diamond Trophy winner so far this weekend. Then at the back, Jack Depper, Andrew Wilmot, Neil Trotter, Chris Wallace, and Steve Gales, who's had a bit of a troubled weekend with that Audi, the accident yesterday, and I think maybe a legacy of that was the fact that he was a bit off the pace in race number 2. Looks like they're all there though. We've got all 23 cars ready to go racing. 25 minutes about to be on the clock, and Alex Lee it is who has that pole position. And Paul, you were just chatting to Alex down there in the assembly area. He is quietly confident, I think. I reckon if he gets off the line well, he's going to be a tough man to beat.
Should be, mate. He should be. He's got a good car. I've been impressed with him this weekend, to be fair. Yeah, I proper doorstepped him, didn't I? He looked at me as if to say, "Who's this fella, and what does he want?" And then he was great and told us exactly what we want to do here. He's got a race on his hands. He wants to do well. But I tell you what, like anything, these reverse grids just don't mean anything anymore for me because it's all good people that we've seen before. But like qualification for him in that second qualifying, he was fast anyway. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of good drivers wherever we do with grids, and yeah, whether it's second fastest qualifying time or it's reverse grids, it's all pretty cool, mate.
Yeah, I mean, that reverse grid race that we saw before, there wasn't really anybody at the front of the grid who you felt didn't deserve to be there, and that is a great testament actually to the strength in depth we've got. A lot is made of the fact that this is a bigger grid this year for TCR UK, but it's a higher quality grid as well, with so many drivers capable of, and indeed succeeding in getting podium finishes. We've had, I think, 7 different drivers on the podium in those first 6 races of the season so far. They're good numbers.
Yeah, they're proper numbers, aren't they? But that, like you say, that is testament to the amount of people, and very good people. You see Darrell Wilson down there in that green Astra. That guy's won races,
yep.
But you see him where he is on the grid because everyone ahead of him is quick as well. So yeah, I just heard you very funnily calling out the Audi driver, the Bondit Audi driver, the name that is wrong on our sheets. So Brad Hutchison, everybody, and not Hutchinson. I know his grandma Jill will be watching, and she'll be quite happy that you've sorted that out, and everyone here from Bondit today, and the Hutchison family.
Yeah, well, I corrected myself, then instantly got it wrong again, so apologies in advance for when I inevitably call him the wrong name at some point during the race, because he's right in the mix, isn't he? So we're going to be talking about him a lot, I hope. Green flag waving then, the final opportunity to get some heat into the tyres, and a last chance for us to run you through the 23-car grid for round number 7 of the TCR UK Championship. It is the youngster Alex Lee on pole position, with the other youngster alongside him, Brad Kent. 20 years old is Brad, and he is a 3-time race winner in the championship. His brother Lewis is a double champion. He starts 3rd ahead of Adam Shepherd with a new drive shaft, which we hope is going to hold together for him. Then it's Hutchison, 5th on the grid, with Isaac Smith alongside him on row 3. Smith having a really consistent weekend, as really has been the case for most of the season. Row number 4 then, just behind those two, we have got the next car of Chris Smiley and Jamie Tonks, with Winfield and Hawkins next, although Hawkins there back of the top 10. Constable is next ahead of Darrell Wilson. He lines up on the 6th row in that Vauxhall Astra. Row number 7 then of the 23-car grid is Matthew Wilson, with the championship leader Max Hart coming from 14th. Scott Sumpton is next, then the Subaru of Ant Wharton-Eales, what's left of it after quite a few bits of contact in that previous race. Russell Joyce is 17th, and Jack Depper, who we also just heard from with Paul, lines up 18th. Then it's Andy Wilmot, Neil Trotter, Steve Wallace and Steve Gales. There appears there may be to be somebody missing from the grid towards the pointy end, but hopefully we'll be able to get all 23 of them out there for what's going to be a good race. Right then, Paul, what do we reckon? I think this has got all the makings of a cracking race. Alex Lee is not going to want to give up that race lead. Bradley Kent, with quite frankly not much to lose anymore, and then behind Lewis Kent, who just wants to bag the points. He's slowly creeping back into championship contention.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I'm looking down to like Darrell Wilson in 13th to look at anybody who could win this race, because this is going to get close off the start. But I think your Callum Newshams of this world, maybe Isaac Smith, they were all punchy when I spoke to them at lunchtime. So yes, mate, there's a lot of people too far away from their grid box there, aren't they?
I spotted this yesterday, actually. I don't think they've got any team members there sort of waving them into line. I don't see much tape on the wall, which sometimes they use to give the drivers a reference, but always better to err on the side of caution, because if you go too far forward, then that's an instant penalty. But yeah, Brad Kent's in a different postcode to his grid slot from 2nd on the grid, isn't he? He is certainly giving a bit of an advantage away to the others. Right then, revs starting to rise. Round 7 of the TCR UK Championship about to get underway. Can Alex Lee convert pole position into the lead at turn number 1? Let's find out. He's away well, so too is Brad Hutchison, though, in the Audi. He's up to 4th already.
Wow.
From 6th on the grid. Then he goes to the outside of Lewis Kent for 3rd. Tries to get to the inside for 2nd. That was a bit too ambitious, though. So he's wheel to wheel with Lewis through the first corner. Lee leads the way. Bradley Kent 2nd. Lewis Kent in 3rd. But what a start from Hutchison.
What a start from Hutchison. Oh, and I thought there was an accident on the start line. Is that Neil Trotter, I think, in 12? Oh, that's a shame as we cut back to the leaders. The Bondit car again. Hutchison now, he's got back down the inside of Callum Newsham, because he went up 2 and went back 1.5. So he's back in the mix. He's still got ahead of him, but look at the leaders. They are, red flag. So looks like red flags waving. It did sound, I heard there's 3 cars involved.
Yeah.
Russell Joyce.
Yeah, and Steve Gales. That's his second accident of the weekend, Paul. That's a real shame.
It is a shame, isn't it? I tell you, that is a big hit. They've just, I hope, had the thumbs up from Neil Trotter's car. He's getting out. So we're just looking out of our comms box. Neil Trotter out of his car. That's a good sight. Yeah, he's just getting out there. Big damage. This is going to be quite a big delay. This is going to be maybe 2 cars that will need a lift. Medical team quickly on the scene. I did hear a complete drop of revs, but no accident from the comms box. So when you said there's been something happen out front, I wasn't surprised. But has Wallace had a problem there?
I think they're just trying to get themselves back into order because, of course, we will re-grid the cars in original grid order here to get the race restarted, which we will do, and that's what they're trying to suss out now on the grid. And
that accident
has
happened very early on.
You've spotted the tyre marks, haven't you, out of the window? Yeah, I think one car's been into the barrier on the right just after the start line. And we see this quite a lot here at Brands. It's a narrow start-finish straight, and it's on a slope, isn't it, from the left to right. So if someone gets a bad start, everyone goes for the gap, and the tiniest bit of contact is going to cause trouble.
Yeah, everybody's kind of pigeonholed into the same space as they're coming through first and second gear. These cars here today on board with time attack with a lot of power. There's some of the time attack cars, but these cars rely on 0 wheel spin and forward momentum, and that sometimes in a front wheel drive TCR car is a difficult thing to do. You only need to bog down and it's a bit of trouble. So somebody must have come across the front of somebody else, maybe avoiding something that was going on. So let's not speculate too much, but it does look like I can see 3 drivers out of their cars. I can see 3 drivers. That's three people that we worried about. They're all okay.
Excellent news, right, which means that now the marshals can set about their job of clearing the track of a little bit of debris, but actually it's mainly the cars that are in precarious positions, and obviously with the track blocked, essentially, the right decision was made to throw the red flag. Right, what did we learn from that half a lap of racing we got? Well, we learned that Alex Lee knows how to get off the line, because that was a very good start from pole position. Not as good as Hutchison from 6th, but still, those 2 very inexperienced drivers, by far the 2 fastest off the line.
Yeah, it really was. And what you were talking about Brands Hatch being a difficult place to start a front-wheel drive car, especially with all that wheel spin and the camber that is going against you, dropping you into the gully of the pit wall and the barrier. You have to come out the power and crack on, but it's usually the pole man or woman in this TCR championship that'll have a problem getting off the line. That was not the case for him, was it? He was away like a scalded cat, and Hutchison was unbelievable on that start. He went from 6th to 4th, nearly 3rd, but because he didn't try and grasp the nettle and go into 3rd, he dropped back into the clutches of the 2 cars behind him, but still a great start.
Hutchison's start was almost identical to Chris Smiley's start yesterday from the same grid position. I've seen so many races here where 6th is the place to start because the track just starts to level out a bit on that 3rd row and the outside of row 3. Always you seem to see good starts from there, and for Hutchison especially, that's good news because that was his big weakness actually at Donington. Had a terrible start when he qualified right in the front 2 or 3 positions on the grid last time out, and this time around, at least on that attempt to start the race, he seemed to have got that sorted. You can see there on the screens the work being done to the cars on the start-finish line. As Paul said, all 3 drivers have got out of their cars, and I'm sure 1 or 2 of them will be taken to the medical centre for a quick check over.
This is good news by the looks of it. There's now 2 flatbeds on the track with 3 cars that need moving. 1 car can be pushed. Gales is being pushed now, the doctor helping out as we look out of our comms box. It's not something you can see on the screen, but definitely a lift for Trotter in his Cupra or his Seat. And also, we've just got nearly Russell Joyce's car on the back of a flatbed. So great stuff here from Brands.
Shame for Russell, that double Goodyear Diamond Trophy winner this weekend. And we've said, I think each time we've interviewed him, he's getting further up that top 10 every time. He's a good driver, Russell. Came out of the VW Racing Cup, but really now seems to be wrapping his head around this TCR Cupra.
Yeah, they were making me laugh when I did the interviews before because the lads on the podium were like, yeah, that's right, mate. Give him the Russell Joyce Trophy, as it's been renamed. But hey, listen, Russell is like top man, and he puts a lot into motorsport, puts a lot into this championship. But I think it's lovely that we're not just talking about this, Goodyear Diamond Trophy win. he's actually in the top 10. Yeah. You know, he's on it. He's with, you know, he's with these guys who have won races, been on podiums in TCR UK. So, yeah, it's looking not great at the minute for him, but he's had a good start to the year. So there's a bit of a setback. But I tell you, Trotter's car, as I look out the window, we're looking at Russell Joyce's on the screen, but Trotter's car looks like it's took some hit at the front there. It's got bits hanging off it on each corner.
Yeah, I mean, what we have learned over the years about these TCR cars is they're remarkably strong, and so they should be. They're built to withstand a little bit of argy-bargy, typically with each other rather than into solid walls, but often it looks worse than it is. Certainly I've seen a couple of cars this weekend, actually, which looked like they were done for the weekend, and then the teams have managed to work miracles and get it back out there. So obviously it's the last race of the weekend anyway. They've got a few weeks now before the next round at Alton Park, when hopefully we will be able to see those three drivers back out again, Steve Gales, Neil Trotter and Russell Joyce. I think we did in the end have all 23 on the grid, so we'll be down to 20 probably for this race restart.
Yeah, Shepherd did get on the grid. I think a bit of a shout out maybe to Area Motorsport. They needed a drive shaft for that car. He got back into his civvies, didn't think he was driving, sent 30 people home from his family and guests, because he said we're not going to be out. I went over to see him to do a feature interview for Amazon with TCR UK, and next thing I know, he's underneath the car trying to put the drive shaft on himself. So that's the kind of people you're dealing with, proper motorsport enthusiasts who maybe don't have the money to go all the way to the end of the year.
Adam is a top bloke, really talented driver. Another to have come out of One Make Civic Racing, actually, where he's made a bit of a name for himself. This was a big step up into TCR. Surprised a lot of people with his pace, I think, but another driver who's just had no luck when it comes to mechanical issues. See there the Neil Trotter car being put on the back of the low loader. And yeah, I can see what Paul was talking about now, the left front corner. That's where the big hit's been, isn't it? And that can do all sorts of damage to suspension and steering arms. And there's all sorts of important stuff in the corners of these cars. And that definitely looks quite worse for wear. It is, though, on the back of the flatbed truck. So is Russell Joyce's car. So I don't think we're that long, Paul, from getting the track clear.
No, they've actually lined up the cars on the track. So the grid has formed. The team members are on the grid. It's good to see some of the team members helping out, trying to get these cars on the flatbed as well. And yeah, I can see a few familiar faces down there on radios getting this all together. But I've got to say, cracking stuff from the brands, guys, because this is a difficult situation when you have multiple cars needing a lift. So yeah, this will be hopefully sorted in a bit. There's a bit of maintenance coming as well. Maybe they're going to look at the barriers that they've hit. They don't look too bad to me, but they are going to. I can see there's some big things actually. They're big jacks, aren't they? I don't know what that is at the back of that Brands Hatch circuit maintenance van. We'll see. You can't see that on our screen at the minute. In your screen though, you can see Russell Joyce bouncing along, probably fuming, coming down the pit lane. Russell, a lovely guy. So if you've upset him, you've really upset him. There's our pole man. I can't wax lyrical enough about that start. I mean, Andy, that was you've driven race cars, mate. You know how hard it is to get. It doesn't matter whether it's on real track, on the sim. You take that clutch out too quickly in a front-wheel drive car, and it is absolutely game over. These are good pitches, aren't they, on the grid?
Yeah, and I was saying actually whilst you were on the way up here that actually some of my favourite moments of a race meeting are immediately before the race starts, milling around the drivers on the grid in assembly area. The atmosphere is like nothing else. It's this wonderful mix of nerves, anticipation, but also excitement, because you know they live and breathe racing, these drivers, and so many young drivers who are trying to use TCR UK as that stepping stone to becoming a pro driver, and it's just a really nice sort of mix of emotions down there. Brad Hutchison is always happy, apart from when we get his name wrong. It's even on the side of the car. How can we still be making this mistake, Paul? They need to find someone better than us, don't they?
Oh, don't do it, don't. When I first seen it on the side, I thought, I know his grandma and his mum. To be fair, his dad Martin's not really that bothered. He isn't bothered about many things, to be fair. He's quite a cool character, but it's definitely the female side of the family were absolutely livid, and they said they were going to find you outside and do you over, mate. So I said I'd join in and I'd pay for it, but I'd keep the digs to a minimum, mate. But yeah, some good stories on the grid, isn't there? Brucey Winfield, not seen much of him.
No.
One of my I really love this guy. I think he's a great addition to the championship last year. And he really took it to them, didn't he? Jess Hawkins, can see with the pink bits on her car. Abby Eaton, I was speaking to earlier, her partner. Real good people. Probably my favourite people in motorsport, actually, Jess and Abby. They really go about their business well and have come from absolutely nothing. Both of them, and doing brilliant in their field. Jack Constable, our race one winner today. Bit of a chest infection, so I interviewed him before, stayed well away from him, he was sound. Darryl Wilson and the team, as I say, they've won a few races. Darren tried to catch me before for a bit of a chat, but I was too busy trying to get that apple pie and custard that you got me. Matt Wilson with JWB, Nick Beaumont there in the middle, their touring car stalwart actually there, just looking at our camera. Matt Wilson going well, that's a brand new car, it's a really good car, and a bit of work going on for Max Hart.
Doesn't surprise me. They've been fighting handling issues, I think, with that Hyundai all weekend long, and of course had that contact with Brad Kent, the penalty that came from that as well. So maybe there's a bit of a legacy of that. There's Scott Sumpton, pole position last time at Donington Park, and someone who I was chatting to the Essex and Kent Motorsport team. They were saying that Scott's disappointed when he comes in 13th or 14th or something, and they're trying to remind him it's his first ever season of racing, and he's on the TCR UK grid. He's not showing himself up at all, and he's up against some really top quality drivers, and Scott is definitely getting quicker every time he goes out there. And I've yet to see him, and I realise as I start saying this that I shouldn't say it, I've yet to see him getting involved in anything silly on track. That car comes back pretty clean every time. He's looking after it, and he's sensibly trying to learn at his own pace.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, in tin top racing in general, I've done a lot of it in the past, and it's managing the disappointment. That's all you're doing. You hardly ever get a massive high, you know, all of the time. You speak to those top guys, you know, they manage the disappointment. That's what tin top racing is about. But if he's disappointed with 13th place, then I doff my cap, because that's proper stuff. He's a winner then. He wants to win, and I like that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And again, a youngster, 17 years old, is Scott Sumpton, definitely someone to watch for as the season goes on. We have got two cars out of the way, Neil Trotter and Russell Joyce's cars. I think the reason now for the further delay is that Steve Gale's Audi, which they were hoping to push out of the way, I think it might now need a lift. So they're waiting for we've got limited recovery vehicles here at Brands Hatch. So hopefully they will get that sorted soon.
Look at that as well. They've got they're putting a marker board back up, brand new marker board. That's the 300 meter board that we can see from our comms box going back.
It's about where you'd be braking, isn't it? About 300 meters.
That's about where I'd be throttling up, sort of braked halfway down the straight. And what I have to remember is, Andy, I forget this isn't just going out on the live stream, so I'm getting loads of messages off Brad's sister saying, my mum's going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. And also Abby Eaton has said, grow up, because we were saying how nice that Abby is and Jess Hawkins. So I'm not going to say anything more about people that are actually at the circuit today. So yeah, just tell me to shut, Andy.
Wouldn't dream of it, Paul, wouldn't dream of it. What I can tell everyone is that the race is going to be rerun over a slightly shorter distance. This is what happened yesterday because of the delay. So from 25 minutes we're down to 18 minutes. Less time for drivers to make their moves, but also less of an issue maybe for tyre wear now, because that has been a bit of a factor all weekend. So the slightly shorter race distance should help them look after their Goodyear rubber a little bit better once we do go up to full racing speed. Now, yes, I spotted this. Paul's pointing at the streak of cement dust on the grid. That was from an earlier time attack session. How much of a difference does that make, especially if it's over the grid hatchings? You've got to be careful not to line your front wheels over that, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I was just pointing because I could see that Chris Smiley's car has been boxed on that cement dust that has been covering up the fluid. That does not do you any favours. Cement dust is fantastic, soaks up all the fluid, what's been put down, but you don't want to be, you know, setting off and having the first phase of your start interrupted by that, which can be a problem. But there'll be big nerves down there for Alex on pole, you know, because he got on with it just then. He was in the zone, he got on the grid and he sent. Now you've had time to think about it. I just hope that he can keep his cool and crack on. But really good to see. I'd love to see him in the lead again because he looked fast on that first lap.
Tricky that though, isn't it? Because you go through all of that pre-race build-up, the nerves are through the roof, and then the moment comes, you nail the start, you've got the lead, perfect start to the race, and now he's got to do it all over again. And that's something that if you're 15 years into your racing career, you might be able to do without thinking. But for someone as inexperienced as Alex, having done it perfectly once, is there a danger of sitting there thinking, well, I can't possibly do it that well again?
No, I don't think so. I think that if you're fast enough to be where he is, then in your head you will be thinking, yep, I'm going to be sound. I know how to do it, I'll do it again. The only problem he's got is he's got all of his doors open and he can hear the rubbish that's coming out of our mouths. So I apologise to every single person on that grid. They all put the thumbs up. And look at the truck now coming down the gravel. That looks like one of my outlaps. He's in the truck's in the gravel, that'd be me. But yeah, no, fair play to all the teams and that. I completely forgot that you can hear me on the circuit comms, and good job I didn't say what I really wanted to say about Nick Beaumont's rubbish team.
Yeah, it's a really good job you didn't say that, Paul. Shout out to all of the teams out there. Do you know what? They're good sports, aren't they, in this paddock? It's a really nice camaraderie around the place, and compared to other championships at a similar level, they're all much more approachable, I find. You can walk into the awnings, even when it's all hell breaking loose, they're trying to mend cars, get everything ready for the next race. They're all happy to talk to you, the drivers are all happy to talk to you, and it makes our job so much easier when they almost become mates after a while, don't they? And you feel that, yeah, you need to find something out from them, you can go down there, and they're only too happy to help.
Yeah, you got no problem, and, you know, a lot of the time I feel bad because for me and you, we're so busy. You're going somewhere to do something and they'll try and tell you something, and you've got to go somewhere else. So they're proper people. The boys and girls down there do an amazing job on these cars. The drivers respect them massively. Actually, let's try something. Give us a wave if you can see, if you're on the grid down there, the boys and girls. We did know that a couple of them did hear us before. Maybe they've definitely shut the they've shut the microphones
Can't blame
off.
them.
Yeah, I don't blame them, to be fair. It's like a fanfare, isn't it? But no, it is so good to see how many cars are now on this TCR UK grid. So I'm definitely looking forward to this race. Just a shame, as I say, that something's happened that we need another flatbed for. This is going to be another few minutes, I reckon, here, mate.
Yeah, because they've now got the flatbed there for Steve Gale's car. I can't make my mind up how I feel about this livery, Paul. It's distinctive. I can't tell you what colour it's supposed to be. I have never seen a racing car with a wrap quite like that one.
Looks like your career, mate. Bit dreamy. In another galaxy. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
A bit like my career, yes. No, that's. I think I like it. It's growing on me, certainly. Unfortunately, the front doesn't look quite as pretty anymore. He'd already had one ding in the barriers yesterday, and now another one into the Armco barriers. And this car is taking a little while to get moved out of the way. But Steve's a good guy, and another one of those drivers out there, not running on the biggest of budgets. It's really a shame when it's these drivers. Shame to see any driver having an accident, of course it is, but especially when it's those who perhaps are running on a slightly smaller budget. Hopefully we'll get him back out there for Alton Park, which is where we head next. Made the point earlier on that this race pretty much marks the halfway point of the calendar, actually. We're 7 races in. We'll have 8 more to go. After the end of this weekend, we're at Alton Park next time out. Castle Combe, looking forward to a return to Castle Combe, Donington Park, and then it all finishes on the 300 circuit at Snetterton at the end of the year. So it's a championship that's highly likely to go right down to the wire.
You know, there's a bit of a delay
in
this kind of stuff. And the reason I know there's a delay is because I can see it. But secondly, my phone is flat out here. I have got Nick Beaumont from JWB saying he's going to kill me, but also that Matt, his driver, backs off quite a lot down the straights if we wanted any of that information. So he needs to get his driver going a bit quicker. He sent me a voice note, which I'm not going to open. I've got Alistair Camp from the Civic Cup saying, is there any time for a shout out whilst you're talking, I can't say that word, to my favourite commentator, Andy McEwen, laughing face, thumbs up. All I'd say to you, Alistair Camp, is grow up, mate, and start doing well in the Civic Cup.
He's just not trying, is he?
He's just rubbish, mate. I mean, he thinks he's the champ, and then he just can't be bothered. So yeah, there's all sorts going on. But back to the journalistic part of our broadcast, and you can see there people are starting to get back in the zone. And is that Brad? Is that?
It's either Brad or Alex, isn't it? It is...
oh, it's Lewis.
Or Lewis. That was always an option. There he is. Give us a wave, Lewis. Thank you.
It's one of the Kents.
It's one of the Essex boys. The top 3 are all Essex boys, aren't they, actually? Alex and then, of course, the 2 Kent brothers. So a bit of a home advantage maybe playing into their hands. At the risk of asking a sensible question at this point here, Paul, what is going through your mind here, sat on the grid? You know, it's sat here for 15 minutes or so now. We should be getting towards the end of the race now. It's hot in the car. They're uncomfortable, they're thinking about what's going to happen at the start. What are you thinking about?
First thing is, you're just trying to think what is the best way to get your tyres up to temperature. You know, that first lap took no temperature to get into the tyres. There was nothing. They got round, 3 corners and they had to stop. So rears are going to be cold. You'll be thinking about how you got off the line the first time. Was it good? Was it bad? What do I need to do different? And, you know, front and rear delta, as in tyres and axles. So you want the front tyres to be as hot as you can get them, but not too hot, because if you can't get heat in the rears, then you're going to have what we call a difference in delta. So the tyres at the front will have too much grip and the rears won't. So as soon as you turn in, the front of the car will be too grippy and the rear will try and spin. We did see when it was cooler this morning, a lot of the cars having rotation, so that the rear was actually moving around in the car. So they will just be thinking, I need good front tyres and decent rear heat in the tyres to make sure that we can just get round and get through the first lap. So they'll be getting all the revs right, they'll be pressing the right buttons in the car, and it'll just be a case of making sure that everything is ready to go for when they drop the clutch, because after that, you can just defend if you need to.
We are ready to go now as well. That was some good waffle from us too. We've managed to fill a good amount of time, and we are now ready to get the green flag lap back underway. Excellent work by marshals and recovery crews there, who have got the track cleared, got it race ready. They've executed some repairs to the barriers as well, and put some extra supports behind the Armco barrier at the point of impact. So we're good to go racing now for 18 minutes in round number 7 of the TCR UK Championship. Alex Lee, remember, on the pole position, Bradley Kent alongside, and the front of Brad's car looks a lot better from a distance than it does up close, I can tell you that, but it looks a lot better than I expected it to. It was quite bent after the earlier race today. Green flag lap then gets underway, and those are the 2 drivers who lead you back onto the circuit, with Alex Lee looking to try and recreate that perfect start that he made last time around. Bradders alongside him. Tell you what, let's have another look down the grid graphic, shall we, and remind us of how they're all going to start. So Alex Lee on pole, Bradley Kent alongside him, his brother Lewis is 3rd, Callum Newsham should be 4th on the grid. I think he's missing from that graphic for some reason. Then it is Shepherd and Hutchison on the next row of the grid before Isaac Smith, who I think should be going from 7th on the grid. Then it's Chris Smiley and Jamie Tonks. Bruce Winfield and Jess Hawkins round out the top 10 on the grid, ahead of Jack Constable and Darryl Wilson, who ran well in the top 10 in the race earlier on today. Matthew Wilson in the new Cupra Leon is next, ahead of Max Hart. How much progress can he make, I wonder, from the middle of the grid? Scott Sumpton and Antwort Niels are next, and this is where we then start to see the gaps, because Russell Joyce, we know, is a non-starter after his involvement in that accident. Jack Depper, though, should be there in the Dirt Devil Golf. Andy Wilmot likewise. There will be no Neil Trotter. Chris Wallace should be at the back of the grid, because Steve Gales, we anticipate, will not be taking the start in his Audi. So that's how they will all line up, and those who made good starts the first time around are now seriously hoping that they're able to recreate that, and those who maybe didn't get away that well, they get a second bite of the cherry now. Although actually, apart from Hutchison and Alex Lee, it was a pretty even start from everybody else. See what happens though. Short race now, Paul, as well, so getting into that first corner first is all the more important.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are probably relying on the race being its normal distance, so there's a lot of people who will be wanting to make up, fast starts, and they'll be wanting to make up as many positions as they can. But yeah, Alex Lee, this is a big test for the lad, and I'm sure with all my positivity, he can get this thing to the front and try and control this race.
Well, he's got the first part of the job right, because he finds his grid slot. Not the easiest thing to do. You can see all the different grid markings there on the start-finish line for the various categories that race here. But he's found pole position. I've got a feeling that won't be the last time he'll be finding pole position in his TCR racing career. Bradley Kent again parked miles away from his grid slot and angling down the hill, trying to use gravity to help him get off the line better, and also thinking about covering the inside from Lewis Kent. That could leave a gap on the outside if that's what he does. So if Hutchison or Callum Newsham get a good start, they'll aim to go to the outside for sure. 18 minutes on the clock. Take 2 for round number 7 of the TCR UK Championship then. Lights out, away they go. It is another good start from Bradley Kent. Lee is away reasonably well. Adam Shepherd actually the fastest off the line this time, but with absolutely nowhere to go. So Lee leads them into the first corner. Bradley Kent second. Looked like it was Lewis Kent there in 3rd position as they drop down the hill. No, Adam Shepherd round the outside for 3rd place. A brilliant start from another local driver, but I don't think he quite cleared Lewis into Druid's corner, so it is Lewis Kent who hangs on to 3rd.
Yeah, nice to see it. Oh, I was just about to say, nice to see a steady getaway. Callum Newsham in the barriers on the way into Graham Hill Bend, on the way out of Druid. So I would say he's been tagged in a front-wheel drive car. That doesn't usually happen. 2 abreast as they go into Surtees. And now the pressure is on. The pressure is on. The leader is fully under pressure. And it looks like Bradley Kent is going to try and do him here.
Now, Alex did struggle a bit on cold tyres yesterday. He was actually running second for the first lap of yesterday's race, but was really early on the brakes into paddock on lap 2. He can't do the same again because Bradley Kent is very close to him. But actually, that looked good from Lee. Defends a bit on the way in, though. That slows him down on corner exit. And Brad Kent is there. Shepherd's in the back of Lewis Kent as they fight for third place, heading up the hill. But all of those positions stay as they are then, I think. Alex Lee leading. Bradley Kent sniffing around behind him in second place. Just can't quite get the overlap as they drop down the hill.
Yeah, it was quite a mature start to that lap. You know, he didn't go into paddock silly. He was in the middle of the road, just showing a bit of defence. But if he can just start to edge away, he still looks a bit nervous on them cold tyres up front.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? But give him a lap or so, and I think he'll settle into this. We know he's got the pace. Scott Sumpton and Chris Wallace making friends as they fight over 19th place heading into Surtees corner. And the top 2 come out of clearways. They're checking out, aren't they, here? Lee and Kent, and off goes Jack Constable. Jack Constable in the gravel at clearways. Our race 2 winner is going no further. It digs into the gravel, and I think it may have sustained some damage to the left front corner as well.
Yeah, that was a front left failure, maybe from contact. It did look like the front left just dropped, started smoking, and he went straight on. So an interesting one. Adam Shepherd in 117 with that new drive shaft, getting on with things here, and he's right in the mix.
All right, I wonder, are we going to see the safety car out on track, because Constable's car is definitely stuck in the gravel trap. That wouldn't be great news for Alex Lee, because he's just starting to settle into a rhythm here, I would say, and making a bit of a break from Bradley Kent in second, Lewis Kent third, Shepherd fourth, Isaac Smith, another consistent run there in fifth place, and Max Hart, Paul, from 15th on the grid into 8th spot already. That's a good start from the Irishman.
Wow, he's made some places up there, hasn't he? And they're at full racing speed here. There's a green flag being waved, so yeah, very interesting, because that is not the place where you want to go off if there's another car. Anywhere isn't the place you want to go off if there's another car. But Chris Smiley looking like he's making moves in front of people, but I tell you, he's got a job on his hands here, because that Audi ain't going to be easy to pass. Smith, though, looking good.
Yeah, as you say, that gets very sideways through Druid's corner, does Isaac, but gathers it all together. The back of that Golf has not looked happy all weekend, but maybe that's the way he likes to drive it, because he's certainly been quick. Hutchison there right behind him. Now, we know Hutchison had some good late race pace earlier on today, so Isaac's certainly not going to be able to relax here in 5th position. Smiley, as you said, gaining 1 place into 7th position, but I think Chris is going to be hoping that Honda loses a bit of ballast next time, because it's not been quite as pacey here as it was at the first 2 rounds.
It's really struggled, actually, isn't it? It's difficult, because when you get the run off the last corner where he's just been, Chris Smiley in that Honda just has not got the pace, has he?
No, he has not. No one's going to have the pace now, because the safety car is out, as I suspected would have to be the case. So they gave them another lap of racing, but they are sending the recovery vehicle out to clearways now to dig Jack Constable's Power Max Racing Cupra out of the gravel trap. So everyone has a chance to catch their breath again. And Alex Lee, so far, so good. He's made 2 really good standing starts, and in a moment or two, he's going to have to make a good safety car restart. But once he settled down there, he seemed to have an answer for the pace of Bradley Kent in second, didn't he?
There was no stress there, was there? No stress at all from him. So, yeah, Alex Lee, he really just got his head down, looked a bit nervous on them rear tyres, but he knew where he was going to be going to have a problem, and that was paddock, and then into the fast left-hander at Surtees before the last corner. He just slowed it down a bit earlier than he thinks he should have, and then he just got on with the job now, and he seemed to be able to just keep that gap on traction, so maybe he's got the right tyres on for the job. But Jack Constable, definitely that's a left front failure. That's had a hit, maybe.
Yeah, that left front tyre was not pointing in the right direction, was it? Let's see if we can take a closer look at this then, figure out exactly what happened, because the first I saw of it, the car was sort of appearing in the gravel trap at a strange angle, almost like there'd been contact, but there may have been contact before, which caused the failure.
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so, well, Jess Hawkins was around and about. I'm not saying that they've had contact, but the car just seemed to just go straight on. I don't know if it was locked up, but that left front doesn't look like it's in a great position. So, yeah, maybe he's just got it wrong on his own. But there's you wouldn't be braking coming out of clearway. So there may be a bit of concertina in, and cars may be into the back and side of each other. But we'll find out, I'm sure, from Jack Constable after that, as he might tell us all about it.
If he's got any voice left, because he was struggling before, wasn't he, when we spoke to him? He said he's got this infection, he's not feeling particularly well, there you go, car is back out. The tyre's off the rim, Paul, but that's not the full extent of the damage, is
no,
it? But
that's contact, that.
Yeah.
That'll be contact, and it'll have snapped the rim and let the tyre down. So you can see there's a big, we're in the middle of his Ravencroft sponsorship, corporate partner. He's got a big wheel mark there, so maybe that was from another race, but I would say that's side-to-side contact, and then as he's been turning the wheel, it's hit the rim of another car, whether that's wheel or bodywork, and it's snapped the rim, and it's let the tyre down. That's why it's just gone straight off.
So 11 3/4 minutes to go then. We're behind the safety car in round number 7 of the TCR UK Championship. Alex Lee is the race leader. Bradley Kent is second. Lewis Kent is third. Then Adam Shepherd and Isaac Smith rounding out the top 5. Hutchison is 6th. Smiley 7th. Winfield 8th. Wharton Eels into the top 10 now in 9th. So what's happened to Max Hart? Why is Max Hart showing us a lap down? Now, I think he's got a dodgy transponder because he's definitely still on the track. He has been being warned about that all weekend as well, so the Jam Sport team are going to have to get that sorted before Alton Park next time. Max Hart is definitely still there, and there we go, the timing screen catching up with itself. He's in 8th, Winfield 9th, and Wharton Eels back into the top 10. I know Ant wasn't making friends in race 2. He's not here to make friends, though. He's here to get results out of that Subaru, and this is the most competitive that car has been all season long, consistently over all of the sessions in the weekend.
Yeah, it's difficult to make friends with racing drivers in general, but it's even more difficult when your car isn't one of the fastest on track, and he has just dialed into that car where it is got its best parts, and that is, for me, mid-speed, mid-corner entry and the brakes, but the rest of it, bit of traction's good, but the rest of it is letting him down, and that will get better as Jam Sport start to develop that car. But I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Jam Sport and Wharton Eels, because that is a difficult car to drive by the look of it. It's getting better.
It had some turbo problems earlier in the season, which meant that it was good until it hit about 4th gear, and then it just died a death down the straights. But I noticed in the race earlier on, in the second phase of the pit straight, it was actually pulling away from other cars, so I think they've maybe got on top of that now. But as they've been saying, they fix one problem and then something else rears its head. But they always said this was a development year for that Subaru. They never expected to be leading laps and winning races or challenging for race wins at this point of the championship. Maybe by the time we get to Donington and Snetterton at the end of the year, but right now they're still very much learning and trying to get that car as competitive as they can. Right then, let's get some competition back underway, shall we? Because the lights are out on the BMW safety car. It is heading for the pit lane, and we will go racing with about 9.5 minutes left on the clock. And Alex Lee now has to nail this safety car restart. This is not easy to do, Paul.
No, it's not, but this is his chance, and he's had 2 starts and a safety car restart. Let's see what he can do.
Well, he's gone with the safety car, hasn't he, which has really bunched everybody up. Now he floors the throttle. That wasn't a great restart. He's under a lot of pressure. Look how close the 2 Kents are. They're pushing each other down the straight. Lewis into the back of his younger brother Bradley, who launches up the inside. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the lead at paddock, but Alex Lee just gets into the corner as the race leader. That was a very, very close restart there. Close to disaster for Alex. Somehow, though, by the skin of his teeth, he holds on to the lead.
Wow, well, tell you what, it was I think that was a bit of an experience, and look at that big sideways. Max Hart with his dodgy transponder all the way around the outside of Druids, flat out. Oh, and more news!
Oh, how did he miss Hart? How did he miss Max Hart? That was a miracle. He got up the inside of Winfield, who very, very swiftly takes the place back. Oh, Jamie Tonks is off at Graham Hill Bend. That looks like a spin, judging by the tyre marks on the road. Let's hope he gets the Cupra going. Yes, he does. So no need for a further safety car. That should have been an accident there for Ant Wharton Eels. I'm not quite sure how they avoided it.
He was so hard on the brakes to not crash into that car. That was unreal. But look at that. You can see there, Chris Smiley has got no answer in a straight line to the speed of Max Hart, and that will be all to do with the leveling out system and the penalising system. So, yeah, I'll tell you what, just going back to Alex Lee, that was an inexperienced restart that's absolutely worked out in his favour because he's got the 2 brothers fighting behind them, and he's now got his tyres up to temp and he's cracking on.
He's getting away, isn't he? Definitely from Brad and Lewis. The battle really is this one for 4th. Adam Shepherd in 4th position, Isaac Smith in 5th, and Hutchison there in 6th position. Smith and Hutchison seem to have been pretty inseparable, actually, so far this weekend. They head to the top end of the circuit at Clearways Corner. Smith again sideways. He does like a loose rear end on that Golf, doesn't he? And it very nearly bit him then.
He's been watching these time attack lunatics in. If you didn't know, you'd think that Golf was rear-wheel drive. That was a proper big slide through clearways, that was.
Kept hold of it, though. I'm not sure it was the quickest way through the corner, although actually he's not under threat immediately from Hutchison. He's almost in the gravel coming out of Paddock Hill Bend is the Golf. Fastest lap of the race then for the race leader, Alex Lee. He is 6/10 now clear of Brad Kent in second. The gap that's coming down is from Lewis Kent third to Shepherd in fourth. Shepherd was a couple of tenths quicker than the Veloster on that lap, and Adam Shepherd would look nothing more than to get himself onto the podium. He's still looking for his first podium and finish of the season. In fact, Adam has only had one top 5 so far. This is a really, really strong showing.
This is, and I tell you, he's so leery. That's going to give Brad Hutchison a real good run, actually. I tell you, that Shepherd, in my eyes, in P4, he's on for a podium here because he's only 6/10 behind, less than that, half a second behind Lewis Kent now. He's absolutely fired up for it.
And he's going to want to thank the team for getting that car out there at all for this race by getting them into a podium place if at all possible. He was the second fastest driver on the track that time. Only Alex Lee, the race leader, was quicker than him, so that gap is definitely coming down. Max Hart, meanwhile, has caught the Smith and Hutchison battle, which drops down into Graham Hill Bend now. Smith in the Golf, Hutchison in the Audi, and not that far behind them now is the championship leader Max Hart, who, remember, comes into this race 14 points ahead of Isaac Smith for the championship lead. So it's important, actually, that he can get on to terms with the Golf.
Yeah, this is where he had that oversteer before. Look, he runs wide. They both run a bit wide from the apex, but Hutchison in the 17 Bondit, he seems to get good entry, but can't get the traction on the way out. But he's definitely closed up on this lap. As Jack Depper now in the red Dirt Devil car has got Darrell Wilson in the Opel Astra on his outside. And now he's got to look behind him as well, because that's going to be an attack that's launched from Wilmot. Wilmot breaks, doesn't turn Darrell Wilson round in the green Astra, and that looks like something. Is it he's going to try and get down his inside as well? Jess Hawkins there.
Yeah, Hawkins in there. Walt Neals is sideways. Does he save it? Yes, he does, but he loses places. I think there's a problem. Something's broken on the Subaru because it's slowed down the hill. That's a shame. I reckon maybe something broke in the left rear corner. Didn't see any contact, but I think that might be what it is now. He has had bodywork rubbing on that left rear tyre since the start, so it could be that the bodywork won that battle against the rubber, and he might well have a tyre going down, but he will head for the pit lane. The leader is gone though, hasn't he, Paul? Look at the fight for third though.
Wow, look at this. Is that's Shepherd, isn't it? Shepherd looking round the outside of the champ. And this is going to be interesting to see how this goes. He's got great mid-corner speed, and Kent was so slow at the apex. It's put Shepherd to the outside. If he can get round the outside, he squeezes. Is Kent going to be good to him? It looks like Kent is good to him. Yeah. Too good to him. He's been too good to him. And he's led him through, in my eyes. I'd have had him on the grass.
Which is why it's a good job you're in the commentary box, not on the track. Third place for Adam Shepherd then. Really, really good move that round the outside at Druids. Left a bit to chance that Lewis was going to be generous with him, which he was. But that was a quick move. I know there's only 4.5 minutes left, but can he go after Brad Kent? He's about a 1.5 seconds back, but he looks like one of the fastest cars on the track. If he escapes from Lewis, which it looks like he's doing, we'll watch that gap with interest over the final, 4 or 5 laps or so to see whether he can catch the second place man. Meanwhile, Max Hart has caught Brad Hutchison. This for 6th place, and Max launches one up the inside. That was a brave move on the brakes, and it might just work.
I'll tell you, that was... both of you, take your hats off, because Brad Hutchison could have destroyed both of your races there. He didn't. He opened the lock-up, and he didn't just let him through. He made him work for it, but Max Hart is through. There'll be massive respect and a handshake for that one.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move on the brakes. A difficult braking point into Paddock. It's so bumpy on the way in there. It's easy to snatch a brake and go straight on, but Max got the car stopped, and now he's just one car behind the man that he's fighting for the championship lead with, Isaac Smith. So this has been a good salvage operation, really, for Max. It's been a bit of a weekend to forget by his standards. If he can get up there now and challenge Smith for a top 5 at the end of this race, he'll be happy.
Oh, definitely, and this has been super stuff. I've really enjoyed this race. It's not been long enough, in my opinion. Yeah. As you can see, Smiley now in that sandwich, and 22 Smiley in that Honda. That's going to be a big move, but he would have seen that move been put on him before by Max Hart, so he's a bit vulnerable, is Hutchison there in P7.
He is, isn't he? But actually, Smiley's got some attention here from Bruce Winfield as well. He goes right round the outside of him at Druids. Smiley was always going to put him on the grass. Winfield keeps coming, though, and he's not going to stop the car, surely. No, Smiley saw that coming a mile off. So did you, Paul. He got the switch back. That was nice driving from Smiley.
Beautiful, that was. That was a great move. And again, big respect. Side by side, massive sideways by Brucey Winfield. But Smiley's through, and that was some experience there from Smiley. He's really driving his heart out, even though the car just isn't quick enough for him this weekend. But some great racing, and I tell you what, the leader of this race, Alex Lee, I have run out of superlatives. Brilliant from him.
2.8 seconds is his race lead. Meanwhile, Wilson and Newsham side by side. Callum Newsham was in the barriers on lap 1, and here he is up the inside of Wilson. That's 12th place for him. He brings Scott Sumpton with him as well, back into 13th place, and Darryl Wilson slips back into the clutches of the Cupra Leon of Matthew Wilson, who looks to the outside of him at Druids, but he isn't going to get through there. But yeah, good recovery drive again this from Callum Newsham, who's not quite going to make the top 10, but given how his race started, I don't think he'll complain at being inside the points.
No, be happy with that, definitely. But there's, tell you what, we've had a few stories and a few bits of action in this race. This is, well, what we're looking at here. We're looking at a fight that's down for 12th.
And we've got to pick a Cohort Sport TCR driver of the weekend out of all of this somehow. That's going to take a bit of a conversation, I think, once the race is done to come to that conclusion. 1.5 minutes to go. 2 laps then, I reckon, left in this race. And the lead gap's going out by about 6 or 7 tenths of a second a lap. Alex Lee has made everyone else look silly in this race. This has been a brilliant, perfect performance from the youngster who has rocketed away up the order. Second place is still Bradley Kent. He is being caught by Adam Shepherd, but the gap at 1.6 seconds is probably too big. There they go, look. I don't think Adam's quite going to get there, but it does look like Adam is going to add his name now to the list of drivers to have got a podium finish this year.
Some statement that, mate, that is some statement by Alex Lee. Yeah. I am so impressed with. I mean, we're not just talking about a car that no one drives in the championship. We're talking about a car that is very well represented by very good drivers, and he's the top dog.
Yeah, and a small team as well. They're only running that one car. It's not one of the big operations like Area Motorsport or Essex and Kent Motorsport, you know, Jam Sport. They're running that car themselves, and they should be incredibly proud of what they've achieved here this weekend. The first race yesterday didn't quite go to plan from the front row, but from pole position, he has certainly turned a few heads this weekend. He's absolutely on his own. And remember, this was over a restarted race of about 13 minutes or so after the safety car, and Alex Lee completely by himself as he comes around to start what will be the final lap. Now, that is Bruce Winfield going up the inside of Chris Smiley. 8th position now belongs to Bruce Winfield as they go through Surtees corner, and Chris Smiley, who is going to try and get back up the inside, he gets into the back of Bruce Winfield. I'm not convinced Chris was fully on the track there, but in the end, he doesn't quite make the move anyway.
No. Well, this man has been the star of the show, and he has been shown the last lap board. So, good stuff. I can see the safety car being prepared now, but this is going to be beautiful for the young lad.
Tell you what, Shepherd's caught Bradley Kent, you know, they're nose to tail for second place behind Alex Lee. So I spoke too soon on that one. Bradley Kent might have a bit of defending to do through the final few corners. There they go, look, down the back straight. Headlights flashing for Shepherd. He knows he's running out of opportunities, though, because we're into the final corner of the race. That can wait, though, quite frankly, because this is the story. Alex Lee, youngest driver on the grid, his second ever event in TCR UK competition, and he's a race winner. Congratulations to Alex Lee. He takes the checkered flag here at Brands Hatch. Second place for Bradley Kent. That's a bit more like it for him and for Adam Shepherd as well, who both get themselves on the podium. Kent has, though, a penalty, a 15-second penalty for Bradley Kent for track limits, not respecting track limits, and Bradley Kent will lose the podium.
Wow, wow, wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm going to go and get some interviews, so I'll catch you in a bit. Wow.
Wow, indeed. That, do you know what, that sums up Brad's season. That really does sum up Brad's season, and indeed his weekend. He probably won't know about this just yet, but a 15-second penalty. He's showing us a 10-second penalty, but I think they have applied 15, so there must have been a subsequent track limits penalty. He was pushing hard, of course, to try and keep Adam Shepherd at bay. So that means Lee gets the win, Shepherd second, and Lewis Kent is back on the podium again. Lewis Kent has been on the podium in all 3 races this weekend. A win yesterday, a third earlier on today, and another third place now in the third race of the weekend. But it's Alex Lee. I can't say enough about this young lad who has got himself his first ever victory in the TCR UK Championship, and that makes him the 19th different winner in the 52 races that we've now had in championship history, and on the weekend in which we celebrated the 50th race in TCR UK, fitting then in a way that we had the most experienced driver, Lewis Kent, win a race, and now the least experienced driver, Alex Lee, getting himself on the top step of the podium. Bradley Kent does not pull up underneath the podium because he, unfortunately, with 15 seconds added on, that drops him an awfully long way down the order, down into 15th place in the end, so he will score a point, but that is it. State at the back of Callum Newsham's car. That is a bit of a mess after, well, when he went in the barriers, it was front-end contact into the barriers, so that must be a legacy of the contact that actually put him there in the first place, if that makes sense. And that is, wow, quite a wrecked car for Callum Newsham. So to run down the rest of the top 10 then, as the drivers do arrive now at the podium, Alex Lee gets the win, second Shepherd, third Lewis Kent, Isaac Smith a really consistent weekend in fourth, and Max Hart will be very, very happy with a 5th place finish. Brad Hutchison 6th, Bruce Winfield 7th, Smiley a disappointing 8th, 9th for Jack Depper, and 10th position for Andy Wilmot. Now, is that Wilmot's, I think it might be his second top 10 finish of the season for Andy Wilmot, because he scored... yeah, 9th place finish last time at Donington, but Andy making these top 10s a bit of a habit now. There is Alex Lee, though, out of his car, the team there to celebrate with him. They all looked a bit shell-shocked, actually. I don't think they can quite believe what they've seen there. I spoke to Alex just before the race, and he was confident, but in a way that sort of suggested, yeah, I hope this goes well, not so much that I think it's going to go well, but hey, it did go well. It went about as well as it could. Nailed 2 standing starts and got a safety car restart done right. And Alex Lee is your latest race winner in TCR UK. Adam Shepherd as well. I mean, credit to him. 2nd place in the end for Adam Shepherd after the penalty for Bradley Kent. And bear in mind, Adam, as Paul was saying, he did not expect to be out in this race. Half an hour before the cars were gridded up, he was telling everyone he was going home, and they've managed to source the part they needed, got the car on the track, and Adam gets onto the podium for the first time as well. It is Alex Lee's first podium finish. So both of the top 2 in the race getting their first appearance inside the top 3. It is Lewis Kent's 26th podium finish in comparison to the other 2. Right then, let's get down there, shall we, for all of the post-race debrief. An awful lot to talk about after what was a fantastic race, Paul.
I can hear you on the actual circuit comm, so sorry if I've cut across you, Andy. That was absolutely amazing, and I'm just getting live pictures actually of our race winner Alex getting some pictures against his car. That was absolutely amazing. Alex, come here, mate. You absolute lad. Well done, mate. Listen, put it here. That was 2 standing starts. It was a safety car restart. It was massive pressure for some proper people. That was amazing, mate. It's your first weekend.
I'm absolutely speechless. I can't talk right now. I'm over the moon, absolutely over the moon. I think there was so much pressure with all the crowds, but I think I dealt with it well and got first, so over the moon.
That is a very good point, what you've just made, mate. There's a big crowd here. This is a touring car championship. You're against some proper people, fast people. You're in a car that is a good car, but it's a family-run team. Mate, you're against some people who can drive this car very, very well, but you've come along and you've absolutely smoked it up the road. I mean, it must be just absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Really happy, really happy.
You're going to sleep tonight, mate?
Yeah.
Top man, listen, I'll leave you to it. Well done, and good stuff for you and your family. Top man, well done, mate. Let's get a little word with our P2 winner. He didn't think he was going to be getting out. Shep. Lad, well done, mate. That was some effort.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. After the first couple of rounds we've had, yeah, I enjoyed that. Didn't even think it was going to be out there till about 10 minutes before we got called up, so...
Well, about, I don't know, 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the car's supposed to be out, you were underneath the car trying to stick a CV boot on and a drive shaft. But what does it mean to you, mate, to do this? Because it's been a long time coming, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. I don't think I've ever cheered so much for a second place in my life. So really, really enjoyed it. For all the team and everyone coming and working hard and the sponsors, we just been working hard and it's finally come, yeah.
How difficult was it to race against the boys in front? Looked like you were going to get P2 on track, but then the penalty come in, didn't it?
Yeah, so I think we went a bit low with the tyre pressures because I was just struggling early on, especially on the restart. I just couldn't live with them. They just dropped me for dead. And then when the rears switched on, I started feeling racy, and that's when we started coming back. So when I could see the people in front starting to make a couple of mistakes, it fires you on a bit more. So I enjoyed that.
Top man, listen, I'll leave you to it. Have a good one. Well done, Shep. Spot on. Right, where is our P3 guy? Where's Lewis gone? Lewis Kent, he's down there, is he? Where is he? Can't see him, here he is. Let's go and grab a quick word with Lewis. Sorry about the back of my head, it's very noisy down here. This will be bittersweet, actually, I think, for you, boy, because you didn't cross the line in that position, did you? He's had a stinker, your brother, hasn't he?
Tell me about it. It is the luck of the devil he's got. Yeah, it is bittersweet, you know, it's good points for us, but I bet you when I get back to that awning, there's going to be a bit of a down morale, the whole awning, so... Yeah, it's good for me, but it's a bit of a bummer for the team. He should have been where he should have. He drove his absolute socks off all weekend. Really, he should have had 3 great results. But yeah, it's just what happens.
Could you see from where his car was on track that he might incur a penalty because it was for track limits, from what I believe? So you know, was he running wide? Were you surprised at what you heard after you finished the race? Yeah,
no, I actually saw it on the board, and I sat there and thought in my head, right, okay, now I'm in third. It was like, yeah, I'm in third, but still, it's not that nice to see. I think we were all running a bit wide, you know, with the heat that it is today, and the tyre temps, they start to melt very, very quickly, especially with the hard racing that we do. So I saw a warning flag for me and thought, all right, we'll back off a bit now. So yeah, it's a shame, really. It is a shame. He's had the pace all weekend, but yeah, it's good points for us.
Top man, leave you to it. Spot on. Well done, geezer. Good to see you. Andy Wilmot, you have won the Russell Joyce Trophy. Also known as the Goodyear Diamond Trophy, which is for over 40s, like me and you. Yes. But still, mate, overall, good old effort today. You've been right up there.
Oh, I've had some bad luck. I mean, yesterday I had bad luck. The race one today, I had bad luck. And I was so desperate to... I didn't want to win it with Joyce being knocked off at the beginning. That was sad. That's not how I want to win. I wanted to race in fair and square. The car was mega in that session. I do feel I might have had the edge, and I'm just so happy. I'm really happy. The car felt so good that time, and I want it to stay like that for the rest of the season.
Things coming together now then, mate?
Yeah, it's been difficult. It was really tough at Alton Park, hitting the tyre barrier and then getting taken out on the start. That was really, it gets you down, you know. You just think, oh, what's the point? But you just pick yourself up, and honestly, the Jam Sport guys, all they're doing, they lift the morale all the time, and you just feel, yeah, I want to do it for them. I've got all my family here, like friends, the guys. I'm just so happy. Like we're really moving forward, and I'm feeling a bit more like a racing driver now.
Top man, it's good to see. Spot on. Well done, Andy. Have a good old rest of the day. The other thing to mention as well, Alex Lee actually crossed the line, and he won the Tom Walker Memorial Trophy as well. So I didn't get to ask him about that because he looks like he's on the phone to his mum, his dad, everyone else. So it's all good. But it's back to you, Andy. It was a crack at that, mate.
Wasn't bad, was it, Paul? Wasn't bad at all. I'm still a bit speechless, actually, at Alex Lee getting that race victory, his first ever in TCR UK, and the way he's going, it won't be his last. That is it for TCR UK action here at Brands Hatch. As I said, though, we're back again at Alton Park in a few weeks' time, so be sure to join us then for what's set to be a cracking start to the second half of the season. The championship getting turned on its head a little bit here this weekend at Brands Hatch. What does the second half of the year have in store for us?